I let him store his tools in my shed during renovations. When I asked for the space back, he said, "Possession's 9/10. Prove it's yours." The shed was torn down overnight. But what he didn't know is I'd installed. I live in Cedar Falls, Iowa. Been in the same house since 2003. It's a quiet street, older homes. Most of the people have been here for years. I'm in my 50s, widowed, no kids. My backyard's where I spend most of my time. I built a shed back there with my brother years ago. Nothing fancy but solid. Wood frame, concrete base, metal roof. That shed meant something to me. It was my space. Then Dean moved in. He bought the house next door after the old couple passed away. Mid-30s, construction type. First time I met him, he was friendly enough. Asked about where to get parts for his truck. Said he was flipping the place and might be working on a few other jobs in town. A couple weeks after he moved in, he stopped by while I was raking leaves. Said his garage was too full for all his gear and asked if he could store some tools in my shed.
Just temporary, he said. Couple weeks at most.
I wasn't using it much at the time, so I told him sure. Just don't make it permanent. First week, he brought over a couple big plastic tubs and a toolbox. Then some ladders, a saw. Every time I checked, there was more stuff. Soon it looked like a damn construction warehouse back there. Compressor, tile cutter, gas cans, drills, buckets of nails, work lights, even an extension cord running out from my porch outlet to power something inside. That started pissing me off. About a month in, I told him I needed it cleared out. He smiled like I was joking. "Come on, man. You got space. I'll have it out soon." I told him, "Dean, this ain't a rental. I'm not a storage unit." He gave me this fake laugh and said, "Possession's 9/10, right? Prove it's even yours." I thought he was messing around, but he kept going. "You got pictures? You got a deed that says you own the shed? Doesn't look like it's on your plot from what I can tell." I told him I built that shed with my own hands. "Yeah? Then show me the paperwork." That's when I realized he wasn't kidding. He'd locked it, replaced my padlock with one of his own. I couldn't even open the damn door. I walked back to the house feeling like I'd been slapped. I kept thinking, who does that? Just because I tried to be neighborly, he thought he could take over something that wasn't his? Next morning I called a lawyer buddy and asked if there was anything I could do. He told me it'd be tricky unless I had building permits or photos showing it was mine. The shed wasn't on the official property map from the county site. It was just considered a temporary structure, so it got murky. I didn't have receipts. I didn't have pictures from when we built it. Just a few shots of it in the background of old photos. I felt stupid. I should have known better.
But then I remembered something.
In 2022, we had a string of break-ins around the neighborhood. Mostly sheds and garages. So I'd bought a little motion-triggered security camera and stuck it inside the shed. It was wireless, uploaded to a cloud account. I'd honestly forgotten about it. I logged in that night. The last few clips were nothing. Just him coming and going, talking on the phone, hammering wood. But the deeper I went, the worse it got. He wasn't just storing tools. He was repairing stolen stuff. A couple of the items still had delivery labels on them. One clip showed him dragging in what looked like a brand new pressure washer with a shipping tag still on it. Another showed him unloading boxes out of a van that didn't have plates. I kept watching. Different guys came in and out. Sometimes at 11 p.m. Sometimes past midnight. They'd load things into his truck and leave. One night, he brought in what looked like a stolen generator, 2 guys in hoodies helping him. He used a crowbar to pop something open, and they laughed when it sparked. That was it. I didn't bother confronting him again. I knew how that would go, just more smug grins and fake legal talk. So I made a call to Ray. He and I used to work construction together back in the day. Now he runs his own small demolition company, mostly tear-down jobs out in Waterloo. We don't talk often, but he's one of those guys who remembers favors. I helped him rebuild after his divorce, let him crash at my place a few weekends when things got rough. I told him, I need a shed gone. Tonight. Quietly.
He didn't ask why.
Just said, how big? I gave him the dimensions. Told him it was all wood except the roof and base. He said he'd bring 2 guys and a flatbed. Midnight. At 11:30 p.m. I killed the power to the outside outlet. I watched from my back window. The backyard was dark, quiet. Dean's dog wasn't out for once. At 12:04 a.m., Ray's truck rolled in. No headlights. Just a soft rumble. They parked behind the house and got to work. 3 guys with crowbars, saws, and gloves. Not a word between them. They had it stripped to the studs in 40 minutes. Tools and all. Every single thing Dean left in there got loaded into the truck bed and covered with a tarp. They left the concrete pad and some debris to make it look like it had been torn down legally. By 1 a.m., it was like the shed had never existed. Next morning, Dean came stomping into my yard like he owned the place. Where the hell is my stuff? I stood there, coffee in hand.
Come.
What stuff? The shed's gone, man. Where's my tools? I looked around like I was confused.
Oh.
Thought it was on your property. Maybe someone else took it. He was red in the face, shouting now. You stole from me. You tore down my shed, I said. He froze. I'm calling the cops. Go ahead.
He did.
2 cruisers showed up about half an hour later. I stayed calm, showed them the property lines, the motion camera footage, the extension cord from my house he'd been using without permission. Showed them the uploads of him bringing in sealed boxes that weren't addressed to him. They asked him a few questions. He started getting loud. One of the officers told him to calm down, or he'd be in cuffs. Dean left in a rage. The cops didn't arrest him. They said they'd look into it, but I could tell they weren't going to chase down a guy over a missing shed unless someone filed official charges. He didn't talk to me for a few days after that. Then something strange happened. Late one night, I heard glass break. Went outside and found my back window smashed in. Nothing stolen, just broken glass. I called it in, filed a report, added a new camera over the backyard. Then 2 days later, Ray called me. Hey, he said, you didn't tell me this guy was trouble. What happened? He said one of his guys found a burner phone on his porch. No number, just a message written on a piece of tape stuck to it. Tell your old buddy to watch his back. That's when I knew Dean wasn't just a jerk. He was dangerous. And that's when I decided to really deal with him. I didn't go to the police with the threat. I knew how that would go. They'd write it up, maybe drive by once or twice. That'd be the end of it. Dean was the kind of guy who knew how to stay just inside the line of real trouble. So instead, I started watching. I stayed quiet. Friendly nod if we passed each other. No more confrontations. I wanted him to think I backed off. But every night, I watched that side of the fence. I had 3 cameras up now. One over my garage, one by the back door, one hidden in the bush line. Dean never noticed. One afternoon about a week later, I saw a different van pull up to his driveway. White, no markings. 2 guys, same build, same shady look. They stayed inside for almost 2 hours. When they left, Dean walked them out, handed something over, looked like a thick envelope. Then he stood there staring at my house. The next day, I went down to City Hall. I requested the zoning records and permits for his renovation project. His name was on file for minor work, drywall, electrical updates, roof patch. But nothing matched what I'd seen. Full-scale gut jobs, yard torn up, foundation poured on one side of the property. I asked to see any complaints or violations. The clerk pulled up a few minor ones, noise, one expired dumpster permit. Nothing serious. So I dug deeper. I asked an old friend of mine, works at the county assessor's office, to pull property tax records and check any liens or financial notes. That's when it got interesting. Dean didn't own the house. He was renting it under a shell LLC, probably trying to avoid taxes or liability. The LLC was tied to another in Des Moines, which was tied to another in St. Louis.
He was using the flip as a front.
I gave all of it to my lawyer buddy. He said it might be enough to push something if Dean slipped again. Then came the night Dean lost it.
It was a Thursday.
I was inside watching the news when I heard yelling outside. Male voice, furious, slurring. I opened the curtain a crack. Dean was in his backyard, drunk, yelling on the phone. I couldn't hear it all, but I caught parts. I did the job, I got it out. It's not my fault if he buried it. Then he threw the phone across the yard. The next morning I checked the camera feed. Around 3 a.m., he was back in the yard with a shovel.
Digging.
He was digging right where the shed used to sit. Fast, like he was panicking. He went 2, maybe 3 feet down. Then stopped.
Sat there for a while.
Then left. By sunrise, he'd filled the hole. That's when it hit me. He thought I'd found something he hid under my shed. I couldn't stop thinking about what he said on the phone. It's not my fault if he buried it. What the hell had been under that shed? I didn't remember anything strange when we built it. Just regular foundation work. Gravel, concrete slab. We didn't bury anything. I was sure of it. But then I remembered. The night Ray's crew tore the shed down. They said the foundation was weird. One of the guys asked me if there had ever been a crawl space under it. I said no, but maybe they didn't dig deep. We just wanted the thing gone. Now I wished I'd paid closer attention. The next night, I waited until 2 a.m. I grabbed a flashlight and walked out with a shovel. My yard's dark, no street lights reach that far. I kept it quiet. I didn't know what I was looking for. I dug in the same spot he had, soft dirt, easy to tell it was recently disturbed. About 2 feet down, I hit something hard. I knelt down, cleared it with my hands. A black duffel bag. Heavy. I looked around, heart pounding. No movement. No lights. I dragged it out, took it inside, set it on the floor of the garage, and unzipped it.
Cash.
Stacks of it. Banded. Probably $10,000 to $15,000, easy. But that wasn't what shook me. Underneath the money was a small metal lockbox. I pried it open with a screwdriver. Inside were photos. Printed photos.
Surveillance style.
People getting into cars. People outside buildings. A woman and a young girl. Same 2 faces in multiple shots. A guy with a neck tattoo handing off a package. A paper with GPS coordinates. One envelope that had no name on it, just a Polaroid of Dean, standing by a pickup truck. Someone had circled his face with a red pen. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. By morning, I had the lockbox back in the garage, buried under a pile of old tools. The money I kept in a fireproof safe inside. I wasn't touching it. I needed to think.
Dean didn't come outside that day.
He didn't the next either. But I saw a car parked across the street 2 nights in a row. Same one both times. Black Toyota Camry, out-of-state plate. Didn't belong to anyone on our block. That was a week ago. Now, every night I feel like someone's watching the house. I keep curtains closed. I don't go out after dark. Dean hasn't said a word, but I saw him talking to 2 guys in his driveway yesterday. They didn't look like contractors. I think he knows I found it. And I think he's waiting to see what I'll do. I couldn't stand waiting. Every time I heard a car door or a dog bark, I'd jump. I started sleeping with my phone on my chest, half expecting someone to break in. I finally called my cousin Nate. He's a sheriff's deputy in a rural county. Good guy, keeps his mouth shut. I told him most of it, not about the money, not yet. Just that my neighbor might be into something shady, and I found some photos and surveillance stuff under my old shed. Nate didn't even blink. You still have it? Yeah, I said. It's locked up. Don't hand it in yet, he said. Let me run some checks. 3 days later, he called back. You're not gonna believe this, he said. Turns out, one of the names I gave him from a return label on one of the stolen boxes in the footage had popped up in an active investigation. DEA, not local. Some sort of cross-state fencing operation. Stolen goods, drugs, and laundering. And Dean? I asked. Not on paper, Nate said. But there's a known associate there watching who fits his description. No priors, but definitely on the radar. I didn't know what to do with that. I wasn't trying to get involved in a federal case. Then Nate said something else. You didn't tell me there were photos of a kid. What? The woman and child, I ran facial matches. That kid was listed as missing from Missouri 2 years ago. The mother filed, but then dropped the case. It was weird. Now I was shaking. I'm sending this stuff to someone I trust, he said. Don't do anything stupid. Too late. Because that same night, around 3 a.m., someone tried my back door. They didn't break in. Just tried the knob. Quiet.
Slow.
Like they wanted to see if I'd left it open. I didn't sleep after that. I just sat in the dark with the lights off, holding a hammer in one hand and my phone in the other. Next day, I bought new locks. Upgraded my alarm. Installed 3 more cameras. And that afternoon, I walked next door. Dean opened the door, surprised. What do you want? I stared at him.
I didn't yell.
I didn't threaten. I just said, if someone comes into my yard again, they're not walking out. Then I turned and walked away. He didn't say a word. But that night, he packed up his truck and left. He hasn't been back since. But I still don't feel safe. Because I don't think he was working alone. And I don't think they were finished with whatever was under that shed. A few days after Dean left, I noticed the black Camry again. Parked just a few houses down. Always around dusk. I walked past it once, slow, pretending to take out the trash. Tinted windows. Engine running. They didn't move. They didn't look at me. That night, I went back into the garage and opened the lockbox again. I looked at the photos for the 3rd or 4th time. The woman and the little girl. The man with the neck tattoo. That Polaroid of Dean with the red circle. I flipped it over this time. On the back, someone had written a number. Not a phone number. A long one. Like a code. Beneath it, hold until payment. Watch the girl. I felt sick. This wasn't just about stolen tools or some money stash. This was something darker. Something organized. And Dean? He was a middleman. Nothing more. That's when I realized something even worse. The camera I had inside the shed? It hadn't uploaded anything the night the shed was torn down.
No motion alert.
No file saved. I went back through the feed. Nothing. That whole night, there was a gap. Exactly between 11:42 p.m. and 1:19 a.m., someone had either disabled it or known how to block the signal. Ray's crew didn't do that. They wouldn't even know how. So who did?
And why?
I started wondering if the bag under my shed had always been Dean's, or if he was just sent here to get it out. And now I'd taken it. Without meaning to, I'd stepped into someone else's plan. And I wasn't sure how long I had before they came to take it back. ChatGPT said, I thought about just turning it all over. The lockbox, the photos, the money. Let the feds deal with it. Let them clean it up. But something kept me from doing it. It wasn't greed. I hadn't touched the cash, hadn't spent a dime. It sat there in the safe like a loaded gun. No, it was something else. Something about that little girl's face in the photos. She looked scared. Always looking over her shoulder, clinging to her mom's coat. Like she knew someone was following them. And then I saw her. 3 days later. I was in the grocery store, regular Tuesday morning, picking up coffee and bread. I turned into the next aisle, and there she was. The girl. Standing beside a woman, holding a basket. She looked up at me, and I swear to God, I froze. Same eyes. Same little blue jacket from the photo.
I didn't say anything.
Didn't want to scare them. I just watched from the next aisle until they checked out and left. The license plate was out of state, Missouri. I got in my truck and followed them, slow and careful. They pulled into a motel on the edge of town. The kind people stay in when they're hiding or just passing through. I sat there in the parking lot for almost an hour. I wanted to walk in. I wanted to say, I think I know who you're running from. But I didn't. Because I didn't know who was watching me. That night, the black Camry was back again. This time, it didn't just park. It drove by my house.
Twice. Slow.
Next morning, someone had gone through my mailbox. Nothing stolen. Just opened and closed wrong. Flap bent, edges torn. It was a message. They were letting me know. They hadn't forgotten. And they were still looking for what I had. I started living differently after that. I moved my bed to the guest room, away from the front windows. I stopped using the front door. Put blackout film on the garage windows. I even started parking my truck in a neighbor's driveway just to break the routine. Every sound outside made me reach for the bat I kept behind the door. I wasn't scared. Not exactly. It was more like waiting for something I couldn't see to finally show itself. Then came the knock. It was early, maybe 7 a.m. Sun was barely up. A single knock. Not loud, not repeated. Just once. I peeked through the peephole. No one. But when I opened the door, there was a manila envelope on the mat. No name. No return address. Just a single word written across the front in black marker. Decide. Inside were 2 photographs. One was of me, sitting on my porch a week earlier. Book in hand, coffee on the table. The angle was high, probably from a tree or across the street. The second was the woman and the little girl, standing outside that motel. Same jackets, same scared expressions. Only this time, there was a thick red X drawn over the girl's face. There was no note, no demand, no threat. Just a message I understood way too clearly. I had something they wanted, and if I didn't hand it over, they were going to start hurting people. Or worse, they already had. I sat at my kitchen table for hours that day. Didn't eat. Didn't answer calls. Just stared at those photos, that red X. I'd seen threats before. Lived through some hard years. But this was different. This was quiet and careful and serious. Whoever left that envelope wasn't bluffing. I knew what they wanted. The lockbox. Maybe the cash. Maybe both. I still didn't understand exactly what I was holding, but I understood what it meant. It wasn't just evidence. It was leverage. Insurance. A message never meant to be lost. By nightfall, I made up my mind. I packed the lockbox, untouched, in an old gym bag. Drove 2 towns over to a friend's hardware store that closed up early. He owed me a favor. I told him I needed it in his back room for a few days. No questions. Just tape the top shut and don't touch it. He looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. On the drive home, I took side roads. Changed my route twice. Made sure I wasn't followed. When I got back, something felt off. The gate was closed. I always left it open. My trash bins were set out, but I hadn't touched them. I walked slow, phone in one hand, keys between my knuckles. Inside, everything looked untouched. Until I got to the garage. The safe was gone. They didn't take anything else. Not my tools, not the old photos, not even the cash jar I kept by the bench. Just the safe. And they didn't break in, they had a key. Or knew the code. That's what broke me the most. They'd already been here. They let me think I was in control. That I still had a choice. But all along, they'd been one step ahead. I walked back inside, sat on the edge of my bed, and stared at my own hands. I wasn't sure what I'd gotten caught up in.
I just knew it was over now.
At least for me. And I still wonder what was really buried under that shed. Was it just a drop point? Or something worse? I'll probably never know. But sometimes late at night I still see that little girl's face in my head, and I think the worst part is, I honestly don't know if she ever made it out.